The best routines, the best goals, the best systems are ones that you can comfortably keep up with. Hello gorgeous humans, I hope we're all doing well today. I'm Praise Ara, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about goal setting, and goal setting in a way that it feels possible to follow through with. For me personally, I've always had like particular goals. Some of these have changed, grown, evolved with me, but I've always been someone who's been quite goal oriented. And despite that, I've often found myself having a lot of trouble following through on certain goals and building systems that facilitate those goals. And I used to find myself getting so discouraged by that, upsetting myself profusely over the fact that I wasn't able or didn't feel able to follow through on certain things. And as I've gotten to know myself more, I've started to understand some things about myself that have helped me get better at setting goals that align with me and coming up with systems and methods towards achieving those goals that also align with me. So the two main things that I've found to be really impacting my ability to get certain things done have been my executive function, like the motivation bridge, the thing that gets me from idea to execution. Obviously it comprises so much more, but that has been like the main bit that's been impacted. And also my demand avoidance, my nervous system's tendency to reject things that feel like demands. And so in trying to set goals that I'm actually able to follow through with, I've had to ask myself two big questions. The first one being, is this goal my own? As in, is this goal my idea entirely, beneficial to me and useful to me? Do I see the value in this goal for me personally? And the second question I've asked is the way that I'm looking and intending to go about this goal something that works for me? So the first question, is this goal my own? I have realized that throughout my life, I had taken on other people's goals and expectations for me and adopted them as my own. But those things actually felt like demands that were external to me. And I've realized that a lot of the time, external motivation just does not drive me at all. It does not push me to move. If anything, on certain occasions, it moves me to do the opposite. I tend to reject demands from people or things that don't take into consideration my limits, to the point where sometimes I have been that person and I've ended up finding that a lot of the things that I actually wanted to do, my nervous system was like no, because it perceived me as someone who doesn't hold my limits in high regard. So there is that. But there's been a lot of goals that I've had that have been like my parents' goals for me or friends' expectations of me and things like that. And those goals have been very hard for me to follow through on because they just feel like external demand. So that has been the biggest question for me. Is the goal my own? For example, a very interesting one for me is my fitness journey. I've just recently started going back to the gym. And when I was initially starting to go to the gym years ago, I was going because I had a physical goal. And there was something about that physical goal that just meant that I was not showing up consistently. And what I realized is that that goal, although it was about my physical body, it was actually about other people's perception of it. And that immediately just felt like a demand. It wasn't fully beneficial for me. It wasn't fully my idea. And so I just stopped showing up. The reason I've been able to get back in the gym of recent is because my goal has become, how strong can I be, number one, and number two, how can I benefit my mental well-being as much as possible? All of a sudden, the gym has gone from being this way to fulfill this external demand to being a way for me to show up for myself, become stronger, and just look after my mental well-being. And I found myself showing up more because I know that the goal is mine. It's my mental well-being and my strength, and I'm not doing it for anybody else but myself. Once I've established that a goal that I have is mine, the next really important thing to ask myself is the method tailored to me? I truly believe that your goals and your systems are meant to work for you and not the other way around. Even in having a goal, I know you're supposed to work towards your goals, but your goals are meant to be there to support the vision that you have for your life and what you want your life to look like, not the other way around. Even after I realized that this is a goal that is completely for me, I really want this for myself, and here is why, I realized that the methods that I was using to achieve those goals, or that I was attempting to use to achieve those goals, were methods that were from other people, and they weren't necessarily methods that were tailored for me, tailored for the way that my brain works, and accommodating to myself. And so I would still find it hard to show up because the method didn't fit me. I'm taking a bit more of an experimental approach with things right now. I am kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks and seeing what works and seeing what my brain likes. So for example, with the gym, again, I was trying to get into the gym every day, but I was going to a gym that required a journey, and my brain is one that will break everything down into its individual steps and components. And the whole thing of going to the gym and going for that journey and then getting there and the equipment that I needed not being available and stuff, so I would go through all of these individual steps to not get a good workout in, meant that I was always going to choose other things to do in the evening other than going to the gym. I did manage to find one that was really, really close to my house, and I also knew that when I go to the gym, I get really, really, really calm. And unless I have something that I have to do after going to the gym, I'm not doing anything else. If I have a video to edit, I'm not editing it. It can wait till tomorrow, which is a lie that I continuously tell myself. And so I knew that it would calm me down so much that I wouldn't feel like doing anything else. So I started going in the morning because I knew I had to show up for work. With any goal, if the method doesn't work for you, you're not going to be able to keep up with it. As much as there is a lot of talk about discipline and consistency, you can only really exercise that discipline and consistency when the method is one that works with you as a person and your brain. No matter how much, for example, is said about being a morning person and getting up at 5 a.m, if that doesn't work for you as a person, you're not going to be able to keep up with it, and you shouldn't have to. Make sure that the reason that you're going about pursuing a particular goal in a particular way is because it works for you, rather than it being something that you have been told should work for everybody. So for example, with creating content, I've realized that this goal is entirely my own. I want to be creating content on a more frequent basis. I really enjoy how I feel when I do create content. However, the ways in which I have been going about it do not make it easy for me, as somebody who does struggle with executive function and demand avoidance, to be able to pursue the goal. So what I've done is I sat with myself and figured out all of the steps that it takes for me to get to a point where I can sit down and film a YouTube video, for example, and I made the decision to cut as many of those steps out. So for example, you'll notice I am barefaced right now, and probably will be for a number of videos, because the prep time was overwhelming, and sometimes I would have a lot of creative energy but just not the executive function to sit down and put a full face on. Additionally, there was always a thing when I sat down and I would put a full face on, I would realize that there is high chance that I might hate at least one of the videos that I film, and so that would often discourage me from going through everything that it took to put the full face on, knowing that there might be a video that I film that I wouldn't like. So I thought to myself, hang on a second, this is my corner of the internet. I actually do get to create as I wish to. So I'm coming on the internet with no makeup on now, and it means that if there is a scenario in which I don't like the footage, I know that I can refilm it pretty quickly and conveniently whenever I feel like it, without having to ensure that I am both in the headspace to create and talk on camera and in the headspace to do a full face. It genuinely is about making systems that work for you. This genuinely is your one life. You get to design it as much as you can. Do what works for you. Genuinely find methods that work for you. You are allowed to experiment. You are allowed to find advice and see if it works, and if it doesn't, there is no shame in that. It truly is about building a life and a system and a routine that works for you. For example, there is no amount of advice that is going to have you waking up at 5 if you are genuinely not wired to be a morning person, and that is absolutely okay, regardless of what the trends all over the internet might be saying. Your life is yours. Your life is yours, your body is yours. Get to know yourself and build routines around who you actually are, rather than who you think you're supposed to be or who you're being told you're supposed to be. Remove the shame from the system making and goal setting process. Experiment and find out what works for you. You can start by using different bits of advice and seeing how your nervous system actually responds to it, rather than feeling like if waking up at 5 as an example doesn't work for you, there's a problem with you. There's not. The most important thing is to approach the process of goal setting and creating systems for yourself with a certain element of curiosity as opposed to judgment, and to be really, really compassionate with yourself, because the best routines, the best goals, the best systems are ones that you can comfortably keep up with and are ones that align with you as a person. So yeah, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.